Today we're diving into Manor Lords, one of the most talked about strategy titles on Steam right now, which recently got a new update. Greetings travelers and welcome to GameBrew, the channel where we taste early access games to see if they are a fine vintage or a rotten barrel. Let's see if this brew worth sipping or it leaves a bitter taste. Manor Lords is a medieval strategy and city building game that started developing by a single indie developer, and yes, it exploded on Steam overnight. It was wishlisted over 2 million times and sold over 3 million copies and counting right now. The game mixes settlement building with the large-scale tactical battles. Think of it as a love child between typical colony sim and a total war on a budget. And all of that in the visual setting of the Kingdom Come Deliverance. Sounds amazing, right? Well, remember, it's still in early access, which means you're getting only a slice of what game will eventually become, and that's both exciting and risky. So without further ado, let's pour ourselves a goblet and taste what Manor Lords is really brewing. At its core, it's a colony sim, but dressed in medieval robes. You start with a handful of villagers, a forest full of resources, and one mission: survive and prosper. You'll gather wood, berries, meat, and slowly turn that raw stew of resources into something that resembles an economy. What I love is how organic it feels. Houses aren't just static boxes, you shape their size and land plot, and that choice matters. Give a family extra space and suddenly they're happily raising chickens, tending veggie patches, or keeping a goat nibbling the hedges. With upgrades to the next level, those homes can evolve into proper workshops. Cobblers, blacksmith, tailors, and it's like watching peasants ferment into artisans, from a shack into a townhouse. And speaking of happiness, that's your secret ingredient. Feed your villagers well, give them a variety of food, and they'll feel good enough to level up their homes. The better the homes, the more taxes they pay. Truly the greatest medieval alchemy, turning eggs and cabbages into silver. Production doesn't stop at homestead either. You'll set up tanneries, fisheries, hunter huts, all the classic ingredients in the medieval economic cauldron. But then there's a regional development tree, and this is where the brew gets spicy. Here you choose special perks, maybe it's honey, maybe charcoal, maybe better farming techniques. Think of it as your recipe book. Do you want your settlement to taste sweet, smoky, or strong enough to put a hair on your villager's chest? And once you've got surplus goods, you can ship them abroad for coin. That silver isn't just for fancier boots, it also hires mercenaries. Yes, alongside your levy of spearmen and archers, you can spend a few coins to bring in professional goons. Nothing says authentic medieval experience like hiring a band of garlic-breathing mercs who'll fight for you as long as the purse is heavy. Combat itself is tactical and flavorful. You raise your units when the danger looms. Peasants drop their farming tools, grab spears and march in formation. You command morale, positioning and style of combat for each unit. Hide troops in the forest, lure enemies into ambushes, or send your knights crushing into enemy lines like a steel-plated battering ram. It's violent, it's cinematic, and it feels like the right medieval spice to complement the careful brewing of your village life. And amidst all this growing, trading and fighting, Manor Lords lets you do something rather magical. Step right into the potion you've been brewing. You can zoom all the way down, stand among your villagers, and walk the muddy streets you just built. Chicken cluck at your boots, smoke curls from chimneys, and suddenly you're not just a lord of the manor, you're a traveler, wandering through your own medieval diorama. It's one thing to manage resources from above, it's another to inhale the smoke of your peasants' hearts and feel the mud splash on your cloak. It adds that final pinch of spice, a reminder that this isn't just a numbers and menus, but a living, breathing village you can walk through almost in person. The game offers 3 main scenarios for now. The rise to prosperity. No enemies, just focus on growing your village into a bustling town. On the edge. Same idea, but now bandits occasionally show up to smash your barrel. And the restoring the peace, my personal favorite. You spawn in a random region and must conquer the whole area, facing not just ragged brigands, but the armored forces of a local baron. Heavy swordsmen, disciplined troops, knights in shining armor. That's the kind of battles that makes you want to slam the table and yell, "Bring forth the banners!" Recently, Manor Lords received a fresh update, optional for now. To taste it, you'll need to opt into a beta branch and let it pour into your download. This update stirs quite a few things in the cauldron. The core recipe remains the same, but now the development tree perks are gone and all the features they were giving open fully from the start. And you'll only choose the origin of your settlers for each region. Each origin provides different pros and cons, so choose wisely. There are new foods, goods and productions to season the settlement with. Orchards can now grow not only apples but pears and quinces. Tailors no longer stop at gambazons and cloaks, they're finally crafting proper clothing for your townsfolk. Stone quarries are also entering the mix, turning stone into a new strategic resource. The menu and world map are being enriched too, with the more authentic medieval arts, charming little details that makes the world feel alive and hand-painted. And there's more bubbling. 2 new scenarios have been thrown into Brew, letting you compete with other noble families. One offers a classic one-on-one duel, while the other is full free-for-all with up to 4 lords. Oh, and at last, you'll be able to choose the starting region, instead of leaving it to fate every time. But since this brew is still cooking in the cauldron, we do have a fly in the ointment. The first bitter notes come from the former skill tree perks. It was rather modest. That is probably why it was removed. All those abilities are now just upgrades, but still feel undercooked. Take the plow, for example. In theory, it should make your villagers' lives easier, but instead it slows them down. It's like buying a shiny new scythe, only to find out it cuts grass worse than a butter knife. The new AI opponents are only reactive and so far are just straw dummies that can build villages but can't fight back. Villagers stuck from time to time in the queues, you'll also stumble upon the odd balancing in production and of course the occasional bugs crawling out of the barrel. But let's be fair. It is early access, and tasting unfinished brew is part of the deal. Some potions need time to settle before they're truly drinkable. To draw this tasting to a close, Manor Lords is at its core a classic colony scene dressed in surprisingly fine robes. The graphics are rich for the genre, the combat is not perfect but flavorful, and there's a great cask of potential still fermenting. The lone developer now has a team that tends to brew with care, posting updates, patches and new features straight into the Steam Tavern. Each one is poured fresh as soon as it's ready for tasting. So if you are the sort of patron who enjoys city building and doesn't mind a gamble or two, this draught is worth sampling. But if you seek only finished vintages with no rough edges or experiments in the cup, then perhaps you should pass, for this potion is not yet fully brewed. And so the goblet is in your hands. Drink or pour it down, thy choice it be. Thanks for watching, travelers. If you enjoyed this brew, don't forget to press like and subscribe if you thirst for more tasting of strange potions and early access concoctions. Until we meet again, Apothecary out.